Hi, Ben. My name is Kat, and my secret is how I got tangled up in the robbery of a Subway sandwich store one hair-raising night that ended with an explosion. It's a night I'll never forget that I can never share, except with you. I'm ready to tell my secret of one crazy night of a 17-year-old.
Today, The Secret Room presents, I Robbed a Subway Sandwich Store. Hi, Kat, and welcome to The Secret Room.
Hi, thanks for having me on The Secret Room.
So you and some friends robbed a Subway back in the day.
Yes, and it was insane.
And Subway, that's the sandwich store. They're popular and they seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, everybody knows about the Subway restaurants.
Okay, I think some people are going to find your story pretty absurd and just plain off the hook.
Yes.
And others are going to find it downright criminal.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out what led you to that defining moment in your young life.
Yes.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Long Island, New York. I grew up with both of my parents and my older brother. He's 4 years older than me. And honestly, I had a great childhood. My parents were together then, and they're still together now. My mom was basically the head of the household. You know, we all listened to her. We followed her lead. She wasn't overly strict, but she had this way of never making me question her authority. And I guess, you know, if my mom said no, it was no, and that was it. And I never really challenged her or acted out when I was really little. I was a good kid, and she would attest to that too.
Was your dad the same way?
He was the opposite in many ways. He was like the goofball of the family, always making jokes. And he never really came down too hard on my brother and I. He kind of felt more like a really close friend of mine than anything else. So we were really close, and we still are pretty close now.
So that's your family. What about the wider world you were in?
My teenage years, honestly, they would have been extremely bland if it hadn't been for my friends and the people around me. There were the ones who brought out energy, excitement, and sometimes a little bit of problems and trouble into my world. But because I went to a private school, many of my closest friends didn't live near me.
Did you have a best bud?
Yes. One of my closest friends during that time was Janice. She lived about a half hour away, and we had this routine where if we wanted to hang out during the week, we'd ride each other's buses to get to the other person's house. I don't know if they still do that.
I don't know. It's a smart idea, though.
Yeah.
What kinds of things were you guys up to?
So she really liked coming to where I lived, because where she lived, it was very quiet. It was like a nice little quaint suburban area, you know. I'm not going to say where I live was really, really rough and hard, but compared to where Janice lived, it was a bit different. She liked to walk around the neighborhood with me. We were young, so we wanted to see what was around my neighborhood, whether that was good or bad. It was just fun. It was entertaining. It was something to do. And that's how we actually both met Rick during those walks.
Tell me about when you guys met Rick.
There was this one day we were walking around the neighborhood. We wouldn't go any further than maybe 2 or 3 blocks from my house. And sometimes we would actually stop at a bodega, maybe pick up a snack or something like that. And there was this one day, I remember we were walking at the end of my street. It was a dead end street. And we'd just go in like one big circle. You know, you got the ice cream truck twice.
Okay.
He was...
Good plan.
Yeah, he was riding on his bike with some friends, and he asked if we wanted to come hang out at his house. And he said he was having a party. I live around this neighborhood, so I don't trust people that easily. Janice, on the other hand, she was like so excited, wanted to go, you know. And we were both a little hesitant at first, but Janice told me she liked him, and I completely understood. Like, I'm gonna definitely help my friend. I'm gonna wingman my friend, you know. Like, so we went to his house.
And is this actually Rick's parents' house, or is he older and living alone?
So Rick actually lived with his mother.
Okay.
And he had a younger brother also living there, but there were a lot of shady individuals, we'll call them, that would be like in and out of that house all the time. He basically ran that house. His mom was there, but she wasn't really like mom figure. She was just there hanging out, listening to Rick as well.
So Rick's about your age, about 17 or so.
Yeah, I would say Rick was about 17, about that age as well. So there was like a sense of freedom when you went over there because there was no rules. Janice and Rick, they became boyfriend and girlfriend soon after that. It happened pretty fast. And his house actually became part of my routine. And I say that because, Janice didn't live close to where I was. So whenever Janice wasn't around or whether she was around, I was going to Rick's house. He only lived like a block away from me. So I was there all the time, every single day, probably. Yeah, just hanging out.
Tell me more about the people that were there, the shady types.
The people that would hang out there, Rick was actually part of a gang. Rick was part of the Crips at the time.
Oh my.
The one thing I really liked about Rick was that he had different gangs come to his house, like gang members, all around the same age usually. There were only like maybe a few people that were maybe a tiny bit older than us. Most of the people were kids. They were like 17, 18 years old. Outside of the house, you could tell there was a bit of tension, obviously, during that time period between the Crips and the Bloods and all that. But when you went to Rick's house, we were all friends. You know what I mean? There was no animosity. Yeah, it was interesting.
Peacemaker.
We would all hang out. Everything was fine. Yeah, I would say, I definitely would say so. He had a very good leadership qualities to him, and people listened to him. They did.
Wow. Just like his mom. She listened to him too.
Correct. Yeah. I always thought that dynamic was a little strange, but I don't know. Growing up, I never really judged people like that. You know what I mean? If I felt like you had a good heart or if you had good intentions, then I was going to let you in. When you become an adult, you realize that can have a double-edged sword kind of vibe. But back then I was young, so I was more accepting.
You're spending a lot of time at Rick's house. After a little while, another girl comes into the picture?
Yes. Sometime around then is when Rachel came to my school. Funny thing about Rachel is Rachel lived close to me as well. Not as close as Rick, but definitely could walk to her house if I wanted to.
Okay.
She came to my school, and she came in the middle of her, I think, sophomore year. And she'd initially been at an all-girls school, but they kicked her out because she had eaten McDonald's during detention at this all-girls school, and she ended up getting kicked out of that school and coming to my school, which was a co-ed Catholic school.
She got kicked out of school for going to McDonald's?
Yeah, she had gotten in trouble during class time, and they gave her detention, after-school detention, and she just walked out and walked to McDonald's during the detention. And, obviously that didn't end well for her. She ended up getting expelled, from that school. And then her mom had to send her over to our school.
How were things after Rachel entered your life?
Once Rachel and I became close, everything shifted. My life went from mostly innocent fun, with my other friends, to just straight up chaos and shenanigans pretty much every single week.
What was Rachel like?
She had this mental freedom that I envied. Mm-hmm. She didn't care about what anyone thought of her, not in public, not ever. I wanted that so badly because I think I cared way too much about everything. She was fearless, and I really admired that.
Wow. Would you say it was kind of like a opposites attract scenario?
100%. And I think she realized that too. She did point that out a few times during our friendship. She would mention that I was uptight. She used to do this thing sometimes where she would kind of like shake my arms and kind of wiggle me out because I was like always, what's going to happen now? Like, are we going to get in trouble? That was always me.
You probably had the right instinct.
Yeah. You know what? Looking back, yeah, I definitely did. I was more cautious.
Can you remember any early instances where you had that kind of feeling down your spine, like, are we going to get in trouble? And
gosh, man, there's a list. There were times where she would want to go out to, like a community park, for example. And this is a good example because I know for myself, I'm always worried about, are we going to get in trouble? Are we going to get caught? Uh-huh. And we would go to this park that was close to my neighborhood. And sometimes, like back in the day, we would smoke a little weed, whatever. And it was fun. And I think every time we would be having a good time in our element, smoking weed at the park, I'm sitting there looking at everyone around us thinking like they know what's up. They're calling the cops. We're going to get, we're going to get dragged out of here. And she just wasn't like that. Nothing really fazed her. Nothing bothered her. She just would just be having a good time, dancing around. And I would lean into it as much as I could.
There was an element of danger about her that you found attractive.
Yes.
And that danger would lead Kat to one unforgettable and dangerous night. Stay with me. Take one.
We're doing takes now.
Susie.
Ben.
There is something about winter that makes warm bread and pastries at home nicer than ever. I am stoked to welcome our new sponsor, Wild Grain.
Wild Grain is a subscription box for artisanal breads, seasonal pastries, fresh pastas, and more. And what they got is fresh and delicious.
And what did you get?
Okay, so I need to eat gluten-free, and Wild Grain has a 100% gluten-free facility for their gluten-free items.
Oh my gosh.
And my favorite are these slow fermented bagels.
How do they stack up?
They're awesome. It brings back a sense of nostalgia that I've been missing in my gluten-free life.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm very proud.
Well, I got a sourdough loaf and croissants, but anybody who knows me knows that I am a hound for chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I got the giant chocolate chunk cookies.
Wow.
And these cookies, they baked up so quickly, and they were so warm and so fresh.
You should have served them. Did you keep them all to yourself?
I would have liked to, but I did serve them to some guests.
Ooh.
And Susie, they thought that I made them myself.
Did you fess up or did you keep a secret?
No, Susie, I had to tell them so they could get their own box.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And right now, Wild Grain is offering you $30 off your first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/secret to start your subscription, or you can use promo code SECRET at checkout.
Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable. In addition to their variety box, they have the gluten-free box, which you love, Susie.
Yep.
And a vegan box, and also a new protein box.
Did I mention I also loved the French churned butter to complement their baked goods?
Ooh la la.
We highly recommend giving Wild Grain a try. Right now, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box, plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/secret to start your subscription today.
That's $30 off your first box and free croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/secret, or you can use promo code SECRET at checkout.
You can find the link in the show notes.
And we're back as Kat's telling us about her life on the edge friendship with Rachel.
There was definitely an element of danger that I did find I think, and the funny thing is, now that I'm thinking about it, it's the same thing with Janice, right? She liked coming to my neighborhood and being around my house and everything because there was this element of what's going to happen next. And I had that with Rachel.
Did Rachel end up going to Rick's house with you?
Yes. I wanted us to all kind of hang out, Yeah. I wanted to see what that would be like, and Rick and Rachel, they got along really well. And it got to the point where there were times where Rachel would go over there without me,
Okay, so she fit right in.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes I would go over there and Rachel would already be there with Rick and they would just be, hanging out, partying. Other people would be there. Yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed that, though. Most of the times that Rachel would come pick me up because, she drove and she had her license before me. I mean, she had to take the test like 10 times first, but she came and picked me up and we'd go over to Rick's house. And that's, we would always start our day there. That was like our home base, was going to Rick's house. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you mentioned before the interview when we were talking about your story that about this time there were a lot of insane situations you got in, plenty of car accidents and so forth. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
There were a lot of car accidents riding around with Rachel. Uh-huh. I think as an adult, I do have a lot of anxiety with people that are not great at driving or behind the wheel. And I think a lot of that comes from being in the car with Rachel. Mm-hmm. I can list a few, 2 memorable car accidents that I remember. There was one where we were on the highway and we were on our way to the mall. And I'll never forget this. We came from under a bridge. We're driving highway, and there was a car. It was a minivan. She got close to the minivan. She was kind of swerving. I don't know. She wasn't really paying attention, I guess. And she actually sideswiped that minivan on the highway, and it took the mirror off of the side of her car. And the odd thing was the minivan just kept going, didn't.
Oh my God.
Didn't look back, nothing like that. It was very, very strange.
Maybe they had something to hide.
You know what? I think so too. I mean, that happened a few times where she would hit somebody, or it was just strange. They just drive off, and we both got really lucky, I think, a lot of times behind the wheel.
Did the police ever get involved in any of these side swipes?
No. I don't know why. It's so strange. I look back on it. Right. 100%. I don't know why. Like the few times that I remember that we were in accidents, she got away with it. I mean, I've watched this girl hit a mailbox on the road, just driving. We're sitting together driving. She just would hit a mailbox right on the road and just keep it moving.
Oh my God.
And I was like, wow. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, she just not a care in the world back then.
When you told me about the car accidents, you also mentioned that she brought out kind of a lighter, more playful side of you as well.
Yeah. She had this way of making you not feel so paranoid and not feel so worried about how other people viewed you. I remember one of my favorite memories with Rachel was when we'd go to the mall and we'd pretend to be a couple arguing in a random store. We'd go back and forth. Yeah, we would raise our voices and we'd get enough attention, and people would actually, they bought into it, which was insane. And we'd always push each other to take it a step further to see how far we could go without cracking up. And those moments made me feel alive in a different way. And
that is hilarious. Did you end up laughing and people caught on you were kidding around, or?
Oh, no, we waited till we left the mall for that part.
So people thought you were actually fighting.
Yeah, we'd walk in there and we would start off pretending that we were shopping, and we would start arguing about something silly, and we would just keep kind of egging each other on. And it was almost like improv, right. And it was so much fun. The workers, they looked at us like we were insane, but we loved it. It was so much fun.
So you guys are fast friends.
Yes.
And you said that there was a turning point with Rachel. What did you mean by that?
There was this one time, I'll never forget, we were driving and her tire blew out coming off the highway on a ramp. I remember I had a curfew. I had to be home by 11 or something like that. And Rachel was always good with that, getting me home on time. So she ended up pulling into a gas station to figure out what was wrong with the tire on her car. And I was kind of panicking a little bit because I knew I had to be home in like 15 minutes. And, we weren't like super far away from my house, but, we had to hop back on the highway and go a few exits down. So she actually went into the gas station. And when she came out, she had this gentleman walking with her. And she said to me, "He's going to take you home."
Whoa.
And I remember looking at her. Yeah, I looked at her and I thought, I was like, no. Instantly, my instant gut reaction was just, no, yeah. I'm not leaving with a stranger. And this gentleman, he looked maybe a little bit older than us, maybe like 19. I don't know. He wasn't, a grown man, but there was this feeling of, I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
She kind of pushed me a little bit. Whenever I felt like I was creating like a block or a stop with Rachel, she would always push me and make me feel a little bit bad for caring so much or being so paranoid. Like, relax, it's not a big deal. This is fine, And for some reason, it always seemed to work a lot of the time because, when you look back and you think, well, nothing that bad has happened yet, so I'm sure this will be fine too, is kind of what my thinking was. And I ended up getting in the car with that guy.
Wow, Kat.
Yeah. And I remember driving away from that gas station with this stranger, and she stayed with her car. I ended up going with this man that I didn't even know. I didn't know his name, nothing. And he took me home. But I remember looking out that back window and seeing her just kind of fade into the distance and thinking like, oh my goodness, I really hope I don't regret this. Again, another lucky night. I got home in one piece and I made curfew. So.
And your mom didn't see a strange man dropping you off?
No, yeah, there's no way. I was really good at that stuff. I would be like, hey man, just drop me off over here, in the bush, a little bit further. I'll just walk up. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, Rachel to the rescue once again.
Yeah.
After putting you in a dicey situation.
Always.
You probably wouldn't encourage your own kids to do that today.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely not.
I'm thinking this is about where we're going to get into the heart of your secret, right?
Yes.
Let's go there. We know this involves a theft of a Subway sandwich store.
Yes.
Tell me how the evening started.
This was on a Friday evening.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel came to pick me up. She came inside like she usually did and stepped into the living room and was telling my mom that we were heading to the movies.
Was that your normal cover?
It was. Most of the time it was, because with a movie, you get 2 hours and then you got to drive there, you got to drive home. Like, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to get up to something.
Okay.
And I could tell that my mom, she didn't fully trust Rachel, but she also didn't know the kind of crazy things that we got into every time we left my house. And the thing was, Rachel always had me home by curfew. No matter what we did, she brought me back. Mm-hmm. Because of that, my mom didn't have much of a reason to say no whenever, I went out with her on the weekends or during the week or anything like that.
Oh, Rachel's smart.
Oh, yeah. And she also, she knew how to work it, too. She complimented my mom's decor.
Sounds like Rachel really knew how to handle people.
Yes.
Particularly your mom.
Yeah. And when my mom asked where we were going, she said we'd be, seeing a movie. She promised to have me home. And my mom, that evening on Friday, I remember she stood at the door watching us get into Rachel's car. And then, we just took off.
Oh, no.
We were gone.
Off into the night?
Off into the night.
And you had no idea what was waiting for you?
No.
So what was your first stop on this ill-fated Friday evening?
So our first stop was Rick's house. And that evening, he told us that he had plans to see Janice. Janice's parents, they disapproved of their relationship. Mm-hmm. They didn't like Rick. I don't know how forthcoming Janice was about Rick and, the kind of life he was leading and, all of that and his background. To be fair, though, Janice's parents, I think they tended to kind of judge my neighborhood a little bit. They knew that, Rick lived a block away from me. So they pretty much assumed, write him off. This is not a good cat,
Well, they were right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know what? Yeah, they were right. And it's hard because, again, I'm a parent now. I'm looking back on it and I would have disapproved of the relationship myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and lie. And Rick, though, Janice, they're teenagers. Right. And when they wanted to see each other, they were going to make it work. And Rick, that evening, he was determined, he was going to take a train to her and sneak into her house. And at the same time that Rick's telling me this, Janice was texting me and she was buzzing with excitement that she'd finally get to see him. And that was that. And before he left, Rick, he looked at both of us, and I'll never forget this. He looked at both of us and he said, "Look, don't do anything stupid."
Oh, my God. Famous last words.
Famous last words. I'm telling you. And I just, you know what? I think in that moment, and what really, I look back on that and how calm Rachel was. Like, oh, yeah, no, like this is normal Friday. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
We're going to be fine.
Well, why do you think he said that?
I think that over the time that Rachel and Rick got to know each other. And I think Rick really got to, he built his own kind of relationship with Rachel. Mm-hmm. So Rick started to understand the kind of person that Rachel was. Rachel had this whole aura of just like, she was funny, but she was also a little crazy sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
She'd want to do crazy things. And I think Rick caught on to that. So he knew how to kind of move around her and what to expect from her. So I think that's why he said it. I'm pretty sure that warning was probably more for her than for me. Mm-hmm. But he knew we were going to be together. So, whatever was going to happen with both of us.
Yeah, you were going to get swept up into it.
Yes, 100%.
And you did.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
More on that ahead, as Kat's about to stumble into an evening she'd rather not relive. Now that the holidays are over, you might be feeling like you've got a big spending hangover. The drinks, the holiday food, the gifts, it all adds up. Luckily, Mint Mobile is here to help Secret Room listeners cut back on overspending on wireless this January with 50% off unlimited premium wireless. I've got Mint Mobile and I can tell you that it stacks up against big wireless. The coverage I get is just as good, and I get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. The only difference I notice is the cost, and it is substantially less on Mint Mobile. I want to thank Mint Mobile for supporting The Secret Room. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/secret. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. This January, quit overspending on wireless with 50% off unlimited premium wireless. Plans start at just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/secret. That's mintmobile.com/secret. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months plan required. That's $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees are extra. Initial plan term only. More than 500 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Check the show notes for this 50% discount offer, or head to mintmobile.com/secret. We're back with Kat and her crew. What did you do next after chilling at Rick's house for a while?
Rachel asked if I wanted to go to the park and play some basketball.
Okay, that's innocent enough.
Yeah, and I was so for it. I was like, yes. And the crazy thing is I'm not really big on sports and things like that, but for some reason I just remember the electric feeling that I had that evening. I was like, yeah, let's go do it. Let's go have some fun. You know what I mean? And so we hopped in her Honda Civic and we were out. One thing I should mention about Rachel is that she always had different cars.
Okay.
Well, I mean, she would wreck some of them, but it was cool, but it was also really strange, like one week she'd have an old Lexus and then the next she'd have a beat up Honda. But that Civic, it really stood out from all the others. And I think she liked it the most.
What made the Honda Civic stand out? I mean, I owned a Honda Civic once, but, it's not exactly a kind of a car that stands out.
Well, she definitely made her stand out. Okay. Like she had spray painted the entire thing inside and out. I remember the colors were purple, black, and silver. Rachel had a way of like making things her own. Mm-hmm. And I remember she used to make her own clothing. I mean, She made everything. Yeah. She would always design shirts and hats. I mean, her hats were so cool. They were cool. It was just her way of personalizing her ride, the same designs that you would see on her hats and her shirts and stuff. It's the same stuff she had spray painted all over that Honda Civic.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. It was wild and messy and entirely hers, and I'll never forget it.
Okay, so back to the park. Did anything go down there?
Yeah. When we got to the park, we started playing ball with some of the guys that we knew from the neighborhood. And I remember there was this guy named Chris. And honestly, he kind of gave me the chills, being around him made me uneasy. And I never really got a good vibe from him. And there was also Bill, who was this really tall, slender dude. And he was really nice. And I knew he had like a little crush on me. And I think Rachel found it to be cute. But I hated it because I definitely didn't feel the same way. But he was so nice and polite to me that, I was always nice to Bill and I respected him. And both Bill and Chris had already done some jail time for different crimes.
Do you know what for?
I don't know what Chris did jail time for. I know he definitely had a record when I met him. But with Bill, I know that he had went to jail for stealing. He was in there for a pretty long time because I remember when I first met Bill, he was gone. Like he just disappeared, for a while. And then out of nowhere, he just reappeared, and it wasn't really talked about too much. But I remember Rachel did tell me like, yeah, he robbed this place and went away, but he's back now. We were all really happy when he came back, But,
and these are all high school kids also, like yourself?
Yeah.
So they were going to juvie, I guess?
I guess, yeah, maybe it was juvie. I'm not sure, because I didn't know anything about the prisons. When I was that young, I didn't really know much about where they were disappearing off to, but they would be gone and just randomly come back,
So this kind of a rough crowd you're hanging around.
I think Bill was just very much misunderstood. I think Bill had a very rough upbringing, and I think Bill was just trying to survive.
Okay.
I never really looked at Bill like he was this hardened criminal, but Chris, I never really liked that guy. I never trusted him. He was just really just scary, just a scary guy.
Was there anybody else in this crew?
There was also another guy, CJ, that was there. And CJ was probably the one out of the three that I really didn't know at all that well. I mean, he was always around, he'd pop up at Rick's house, which, by the way, all these people always popped up at Rick's house. That's how we met them. The thing about CJ was that he sticks out in my mind. He was really short, which is neither here nor there, but I just remember that very specific detail about him. And he was also very chill and quiet. Yeah, he carried himself as if he knew something the rest of us didn't. And that kind of wisdom made him feel different from the rest.
So how did the night progress?
So while we were still at the park, I noticed that Rachel and Chris kept talking off to the side. And after a bit, Rachel came back over to me and said, I need money for gas. But the thing about Rachel was that she was always creative when it came to finding money. Neither of us were working back then. Neither of us had jobs. We were still in high school. So when she started talking about needing money, I knew something interesting or possibly really stupid was about to happen. And, remember, she had no fear of consequences, no fear of things coming back to bite her. I also remember Chris, he had this grin on his face when she said it. And it was just terrifying, to look at him all excited about what was about to happen next.
Oh my gosh. Did you ask her what was going on?
She didn't really tell me exactly what was going on until we got into the car. Rachel, CJ, Chris, and Bill, we all kind of squished into the car. And I remember Rachel and Chris were at the front, and Bill and CJ and I were all squished in the back of this little Honda Civic in the back. Chris was the one with the ideas. I remember at first he suggested robbing people who were walking around the neighborhood. And mind you, when we left my house, the sun was starting to go down. When we left Rick's house, it was starting to kind of get a little bit later. So at this point, after playing basketball, it was like night, it was dark outside. And when he suggested robbing people who were walking around, I didn't feel bad about it. I don't know why. I think I just wanted to see, I felt like I was part of a documentary crew. I really wanted to see, what's this going to be like? I want to see, was he actually going to do it? What's going to happen?
Is this the first time that you had been involved in this level of criminal activity?
I'm going to say yes, because I don't remember ever hanging out with Rachel and taking from other people in that way. I wouldn't be surprised if she stole a lip gloss from CVS. That wouldn't surprise me. But, taking from people on the street, to me, that's insane. Even then, I probably thought it was insane,
So previously you had described how you had kind of a sense for, when things were going wrong.
Yes.
But it sounds like that's been washed away to a degree now. You're getting a sense of exhilaration from being in a situation that doesn't feel right.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I kind of craved it a little bit.
Did you find people to rob?
I remember Rachel was driving, and of course, driving a little erratically.
Like normal.
Circling. Yeah. Circling blocks. And I remember Chris, he's in the front seat and he's just kind of scanning the streets like a lion hunting a gazelle.
Oh my gosh.
And
good luck to anybody out there.
It was pretty quiet that night. There weren't a lot of people outside walking around, but eventually he did spot a man, and the man was walking alone, and he had headphones in. And I remember Chris had told Rachel to kind of trail him a little bit, and my heart was pounding. And as messed up as it is to say, I was like really excited. I was excited. I wanted to see what was going to happen.
Oh my God, my heart is pounding too.
Chris, he jumped out of the car at one point. Like, she slowly stopped and he jumped out of the car
to go
and
after
just
this
disappeared. Guy. Yeah, and it was one of those things where when he got out the car, I remember seeing the guy turn a corner and just kind of, I remember there was like a fence or something, and the guy just kept walking, so we couldn't see the guy anymore, but you knew what direction he was headed. Mm-hmm. And when Chris got out the car, he kind of did this hop skip across the street and then ran in the direction of the gentleman. But what was really scary was once he got close to where the gentleman was walking away, you could see he started to pick up speed. So he it was almost like he pounced on him like a lion, he just ran and just disappeared into the darkness. And I think maybe, I want to say 5 minutes went by, and then Chris came back and he had an iPod and headphones in his hands.
This night is not going in a good direction. And spoiler, it is about to get worse. We'll be right back.
Kicking off the year feeling good is my whole personality right now. And honestly, hydration has got to be the easiest win. When I drink Drip Drop, my energy, focus, and mood all level up. It's like the simplest health kick with the biggest payoff. Thanks to Drip Drop for supporting The Secret Room. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code SECRET for 20% off your first order. I'm notorious for forgetting to hydrate. By the time I feel it, I'm already feeling like an empty husk. But now I carry Drip Drop in my bag, and since it has 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading sports drinks, I am feeling just as juicy as their flavors. I am a personal fan of the fruit punch flavor in the Juicy Pack. So satisfying. Drip Drop is doctor developed with proven fast hydration, so I'm feeling those results quickly. With Drip Drop, you're going to notice better concentration, better energy, and glowing skin. To make it easy, Drip Drop has flexible subscription options, so you're never stuck without proven fast hydration. Whether you're on the job, at the gym, or parenting, you'll always have Drip Drop on hand. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Secret Room listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code SECRET. That's dripdrop.com, promo code SECRET for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code SECRET. Check the show notes for the link.
How did you feel about Chris, robbing this guy and taking his iPod?
In that moment, I was scared. I know I was scared. A lot of my life, I was sheltered. Once I started hanging out with Rachel, that bubble really started to crack. And when I saw him with the iPod in his hands, I instantly thought, he could do that to me. I know that sounds weird, but that's where my mind went.
Yeah.
It scared me. I didn't like that. I just had this feeling of like, wow, he's got like no heart.
Yeah, you saw that Chris was really capable of going to the next level.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that's what terrified me, because I'm not used to being around evil or even anything close to it. That's not the people I was raised around or anything like that. So it was definitely strange.
Do you know if Chris hurt the guy?
I do not. I do not know if Chris hurt the guy. I mean, you know what? I don't know. It wasn't like he ran over there and came right back, right? He was gone, like I said, for maybe like 4 or 5 minutes. He bragged about getting the iPod. So I'm assuming maybe the guy was just scared and just gave it to him. I don't know. I would hope he didn't hurt the guy. That's terrible.
And so that, for whatever reason, did not set off alarm bells in your head. Like, I got to get out of this car ASAP.
No, and I'm going to tell you why. They weren't playing. They were serious about getting money. It didn't matter how at that point. Right after that, Rachel turned to me and said it was time to take me home. But I pushed back, and I didn't want the night to end, and I begged her to let me stay with them. to take me wherever they were going. And I remember I was extremely bratty about it. I mean, she was on her way to my house, I was doing everything I could to save the night, and finally she gave in a little, but not without a warning. She looked at me and said, "We're going to do something I don't want you to be a part of."
Wow. So she was once again trying to protect you.
Yes, 100%. And when I asked her what it was, she answered, "We're going to rob the Subway in the next town over."
Oh my gosh. The Subway sandwich store
Yes.
is the target of this little criminal enterprise you've got going in this Honda Civic.
Yes.
You're going to rob
Yeah.
them. This is astounding. What was your reaction? You could have gone two ways. One, you could be like, yeah, good idea. Take me home immediately. And maybe you should stay with me yourself.
Yeah.
Or maybe you kind of loved it and felt exhilarated and wanted to be a part of it.
There are moments in your life where you remember exactly how you felt. I remember feeling exactly. I wanted to go. I really wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to see what was going to happen. I wasn't thinking that far into it. I just wanted to see what everybody else. It was FOMO. That's what it was. I was having fear of missing out on something that was going to be like this grand adventure is all I kept thinking. So I really wanted to be a part of it.
You were not thinking about the consequences at all.
Absolutely not. No way. No way.
Okay. Was there a strategy session?
Not in the beginning, which should have been the first red flag. Mm-hmm. But Rachel, she wanted to stop at her house first. I remember that. We passed my house, which I was so happy about. I was like, yes, I get to go. And she wanted to go to her house first because she wanted to pick up a few things. So she and Chris went inside her house, and Bill and CJ and I were in the back seat. We just waited in the car. And I remember when they came back, Rachel had what I would describe as a robbery kit.
Okay.
She had some bandanas. I remember there was like a microfiber towel, and she also had a hammer. And Chris held the hammer, and he had like this gleeful look on his face, and that scared me more than him robbing the guy of his iPod a couple minutes before that.
Was the plan to use the hammer as a weapon? Like to hit somebody with it?
I don't know. He didn't mention hurting anyone with the hammer. I think that there was just this power that he felt that he had with it. And you could tell because when they came back to the car, Chris was the one holding the hammer. Rachel had all the other little things like the towel and the bandanas and all that. But Chris was the one that was like, yeah, this is my weapon of choice for tonight. And I was a little stunned. I'm not going to lie. But I said to him, I already committed to this. So I'm going.
Going to see it through. So now they've got this robbery kit all ready to go.
Yeah.
It would seem to me like maybe they've done this before.
So funny thing is, I think in the moment I thought that she may have possibly done this before. There was a little part of me that felt like, okay, she's definitely had some practice.
Okay. So, all right. So things are coalescing.
Yeah.
And are you on the way to the Subway then?
We're all in the Honda Civic. We're on our way to the Subway.
Okay. And
Rachel laid out a simple plan.
Okay, here comes the strategy.
Yeah, the strategy. So the way the restaurant was set up, it sat in like this really weird plaza. There was a Chuck E. Cheese in the far back left corner of this plaza. It was kind of like, think of a giant L shape. The Subway was the last restaurant on the top of the L, if you're laying it down sideways. I don't know if any of this makes sense.
Yeah.
And there was a huge parking lot, and it felt like it was so big. It was way too big for what was there. So my nerves were creeping in, And I asked her if she was sure that she wanted to do this. And I told her that I felt like we were getting too lucky. And I thought back to the other night when her tire popped on the highway and she tried to send me home with a random stranger so I wouldn't miss curfew. And, looking back now, I realized how much luck was involved in keeping me safe. It was starting to kind of dawn on me that this was real.
Maybe your luck was about to run out.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I felt it. When we pulled into the plaza, it was nearly empty. And remember, it was dark out, so there wasn't a lot of people there. And Rachel and Chris parked in a really dark corner opposite the Subway restaurant. So we were like really far, more than a few feet away. Like we were like halfway across this big empty parking lot where they parked the car. And she told me that I wasn't going inside. And that was okay. I was fine with that. That was fine by me. CJ slid into the driver's seat. He had the keys ready while Bill and I crammed into the back seat. And Chris grabbed the hammer and he and Rachel crossed that massive parking lot toward the Subway. And they disappeared like into the night. They just walked right towards the Subway. While they're going to the Subway, inside the car, I felt like CJ was making like small talk. And I think he was almost, deliberately trying to keep me calm.
Maybe trying to keep himself calm too.
Yeah, I don't think he needed that. I think, like I said, he was such a chill guy. This was just a Friday for him. Like he was so cool. He was collected the entire time this guy was collected. And I remember the three of us, we were laughing. The entire situation was absurd. And it's probably why we were laughing.
Oh my God. I mean, this has disaster written all over it.
It does. It did. And for whatever reason, I just remember us talking about something that was completely irrelevant from what was going on. And that sticks out to me a lot. Just talking about random nothingness in the car. I think for a minute there, we almost forgot why we were there in the first place.
Wow. So you, Bill, and CJ are waiting in the getaway vehicle.
Correct. Yes. We're waiting in the getaway vehicle.
While Rachel and Chris, armed with a hammer and presumably with bandanas over their faces, are headed to the Subway?
Yes. That's another thing too. They had the bandanas covering everything but their eyes when they went inside. Yeah.
And by the way, this getaway vehicle is a personalized Honda Civic painted in all sorts of crazy colors. Which I'm sure would be pretty easy to ID by any witness.
You know what? You would think so. Yeah, 100%.
Oh my gosh.
Just not a good idea. I think the idea was that the night would be the cover, in the cover of darkness kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I remember suddenly I heard shouting, right? Like we're all having our little conversation. Out of nowhere, I hear shouting. And I looked out and I saw Rachel running at full speed towards us. And when she got to the Honda, she was struggling with the door and it was locked.
Oh,
it was locked. And then she finally was able to like yank it open and dove inside the car. And then behind her comes Chris sprinting with two Subway employees chasing right after him. God. And like, it was really strange. I remember him coming in. Once he got close to the car, it was like, I think that's when everything started to click. We're starting to realize like, okay, now it's crunch time. Like we need to figure out like, what are we doing here? And directly behind the Subway employee or behind us, a minivan pulls up and its side door just flying open. And the workers that were chasing after Chris that were right behind him, they just start running away from Chris towards the minivan, and they dove right into the minivan.
Oh my! It
was the weirdest thing.
It's a chase vehicle.
I felt like I was. Yes, correct. I thought it felt like I was imagining this. Like this isn't happening.
Such drama.
Where you feel like you're dreaming. Correct.
So now we have what I assume is a successful holdup. We'll get into that. 5 kids jammed into a custom Honda Civic, which is being given hot pursuit by a gaggle of Subway sandwich employees and their friend's minivan who just happened to be nearby?
the minivan was strange to me because it wasn't there before. I don't know where it came from. It's that part of it is always a mystery to me. I look back on that night and I think, where did that minivan come from?
Yeah.
How did they know? It was very strange. Yeah, it was strange. I just remember just the bright lights right behind us, and it was like a Ford. It was like one of those green Ford minivans from like back in the day, Chris dove in to the Honda Civic, and then CJ just floored it. We were out of there.
Okay. Good thing Rachel's not driving.
Good thing Rachel's not driving. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the second we pulled out of the side entrance of the plaza, I glanced back and nearly dropped. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I saw the minivan was chasing us. And, Bill, he had brought the basketball with him from the park.
Okay.
So he had this basketball in his hands. He's just clutching the basketball like it was a life raft. I was staring out the back window in disbelief, thinking, what the actual fuck is happening right now? I couldn't believe it.
My God.
And then when we tore out of the plaza, driving like maniacs, it was right outside the exit. There was this small road, and you could either go left or right or cut straight into a neighborhood.
Which would be the worst way to go.
Yeah. So 100%. We're going right through that neighborhood.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I remember when I looked back again, it was like a nightmare.
So dangerous.
Yeah. The minivan was still right on our tail. And CJ was just jerking the Honda through those tight neighborhood streets. Like, he was making sharp turns. He was weaving around corners. Like, I felt like I was on, Grand Theft Auto. It was a video game. And I remember my heart pounding out of my chest.
My heart is pounding.
Yeah. It was really bad. And, I think as much as Rachel was really good at keeping me calm, this was one of those moments where it didn't help at all. I felt this immediate sense of impending doom and danger.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you are in it. And did you also have a sense of regret? Like maybe you'd made a mistake? Or not yet?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did. I remember it was while he's weaving through the neighborhood and we're trying to get away from this minivan. I just had this feeling of, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have come. I shouldn't have done this. This was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to jail. I kept thinking I'm going to jail. That's a very, very clear memory for me, was the feeling of I'm going to jail. My mom's going to kill me. This is it for me.
Yeah. You've gone too far.
Yes, 100%. And I remember finally, after what felt like forever, we managed to shake them. And I remember as we were weaving through and jerking around the neighborhood, CJ had crashed the Honda into someone's backyard fence panel. It was a wooden fence panel. And I remember when he hit that fence panel, it was like lights out for 2 seconds. We all kind of jolted forward from the impact, and it was insane, and everything just went silent. And I remember Rachel screamed at CJ to move, and he managed to back us out of that, which is crazy. I mean, like, the car still ran. That was the weird thing. I didn't expect it to. I thought we were all going to have to get out right then and there. I think we all assumed that we were going to have to get out right then and there. But when he kept turning the key and finally the engine just turned back on, I was like, this is the Twilight Zone. This is not real. And finally, when he got the engine back on, he pulled out of the fence panel off this grass, and then just started moving again.
Wow. Did you have any thoughts running through your mind?
I said, we're done. I said, we're going to jail. This is it. Like, we're 100% fucked.
Yeah,
like, there's no going back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I remember hearing sirens. They were a little distant, but I knew that it was for us. There was no doubt in my mind, because, my neighborhood and close to, you always hear sirens going off every 5 seconds, but I said, those are for us. Yeah. I just knew it. It was for us.
And there is so much more to Kat's story, and we haven't even gotten to the explosion yet. And what happens when the police arrive? And what was the crew's haul? Did they get away with the crime? Come back for the answers in the conclusion of Kat's high-octane misadventures in just 2 short weeks, right here on the next Secret Room. To hold you over, you can check pictures of Kat, Rachel, and Rick on social media right now.
Are you okay? I mean, is it okay if I send like a picture of the people?
Oh, yeah. People.
Or would you like a picture of me?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Search at Secret Room Pod on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And coming up on the next edition of our premium show, The Secret Room Unlocked.
Gabby and her friends were just your average group of teens in a small town. But one thing set them apart. Gabby and her friends started an anonymous social media page to share gossip and rumors. But what they didn't know was how badly it would come back to bite them. Join me, Susie Lark, for the next Secret Room Unlocked, available with a subscription and a free trial on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and at patreon.com/secretroom.
I want to thank our current members, and thanks to you in advance if you're planning to join. Your favorite indie podcast that would not be possible without member support. Submit your secret to be on the show right now at secretroompod.com. Just click the Share a Secret button. I'll get your secret. Thanks to Breakmaster Cylinder for composing our theme and music. This is The Secret Room, a podcast about the stories no one ever tells. Pod on, I'm Ben Ham.